Some years ago, there was a local gentleman who was serving as a gardener and a handyman of sorts. Really bright, intelligent man, good-looking man, and he was working with a neighbor of ours and on in our development. And he started to cry one day because he realized that his son had come of age. There had just been a recent event that reminded him of his son's age, and it brought back, as his son hit this age, memories of him at this age. And so he started to think about that, and all these memories of being abused, fiercely and horribly abused, came back to him. And so he came to us to say, this has happened, and is there anything that can be done? He then introduced us to a number of other men. It's a close community, a Romanian community here in Britain, and all these boys had been together in an orphanage, and they'd all been abused by this one man, and with his wife, who was married to him at the time. She's now divorced him, or he's divorced her. But at the time, the wife knew, cast a blind eye to it. She knew all about it. So this happened in this place in Bucharest, at this house for taking care of kids who were orphaned. And he was there representing a evangelical church out of California, Northern California. It's one of these churches that has 15,000 people attend a church service. And so they wanted to settle with the boys to give them therapy and to try to make them whole. And so we were able to get a substantial settlement, many millions of dollars, to be able to try to give them a life back to what had been lost to them. They'll never get it all back by any means. The church should have paid far more to really go the distance to try to help them. And of course, in America and in law, the currency of justice is money. So you need money to help these people who have been abused. There was also a girl who had been abused at the orphanage, again, in that world. And so she also was part of the people who had been involved to get redress. So we represented them, and the church was, interestingly, mortified to have the allegations brought to them. At first, they denied them, but it was so overwhelming that this man, on their behalf, had molested many, many children that they finally had to agree to a payout. They wanted it private because they don't want their own parishioners to know, of course, that this is the business that some of their ministers are up to. But we take the instructions of our people, and they said, settle privately. So we did. So it's not a public record. We didn't go to trial, but we were prepared to go to trial if they hadn't settled. This happened to him when he was 8 to 12, that kind of age frame. So quite a long period of time ago. But we were able to collect a lot of witness statements from others who had seen this, been a part of it. And the overwhelming level of evidence was so great that the church had to do something. But certainly we are looking to other orphanages or people in Romania who have been abused. Of course, after Ceausescu, Romania, Bucharest, that's got the reputation to be the pedophile capital of the world. So a lot of very sad things were happening then. There were a couple of houses that were orphanages. So it was happening in a number of houses, I think 2, maybe 3. And the people who worked there certainly had an understanding of what was going on. But people were so poor that they desperately needed money. They wanted to keep their jobs. It was easier to look the other way and perhaps think, well, maybe it's not really happening. Maybe it's not as bad as I think it is. Maybe when these kids are crying, they're just being dramatic. You can't really trust children anyway with these reports of sexual abuse. And the minister had a wife there who, gave him some protection, because people would say, well, but you're married to this woman. Certainly, he can't be a homosexual. Right. He was and is, and I'm sure he's still in the church now in California. He's working with youth groups. The church has allowed this, and we know that with pedophiles, when they embark on this lifestyle, they don't stop. We don't know of any who have stopped. I'm Anne Olivarius, and I run a law firm based in England and in the United States. My message to you is, if you're Romanian and you have been harmed, you've been abused, you've been sexually implicated in all sorts of violence, there may be solutions to you that we can offer you that you may not be aware of. We have people on our staff who speak Romanian, native speakers. They are trying to work with us to get those who've been abused in Romania, poor people, vulnerable people, Romanian citizens who have been harmed. You come to us, we may be able to give you a solution. It's not going to erase the abuse and the troubles that have happened, We don't have that magic ability, but we do have the ability to perhaps bring a lawsuit on your behalf where you could stay even anonymous, so you don't have to disclose who you are to the world, and you have to name your abuser, and we could see if there's a way that we could actually get you justice. What does justice look like? Justice is only in a civil case, which is all we can do. We can't put somebody in jail, but justice, the currency of justice is money and perhaps apologies. And with money, you can get therapy to try and get your life back on balance. You can have opportunities that you never had before, that you might have had if you hadn't been abused. That would be our argument. There are trafficking laws that are international, so we could bring cases in different jurisdictions depending on where you were trafficked or you were harmed. And we can also maybe talk to you about your Romanian options. So I hope you'll feel comfortable talking to us. It's all confidential. It's all free for the initial conversation. We are here. It's Anna Olivarius. Please, we'd like to hear from you.